It's been quite a while since I've talked about a product from Edifier, although almost every video I've posted in the last year or so has had one in it. And this little bag right here, little container, has a set of Edifier headphones, which I really love, and I do bust them out from time to time. They reached out to me and they said, hey, we've got a couple of things that you might want to take a look at, you might want to review. And I gotta be honest, at first, none of it really jumped off the screen, but then I took a second look and I saw these speakers. They wanted to know if I would review these desk speakers, and a thought popped into my head. I thought to myself, I know exactly how I could implement these desk speakers. So I said, you know what? Send them on over and let's give these bad boys a chance. I'm really excited actually to get these things going now. So before we dig into these, I do want to point out that they are $159. There will be an Amazon affiliate link in the description down below. You can click that link and make a purchase, help support the channel. If we review these and they end up looking good and you want to go with a set of them, they are 42 watts. They are wireless. They don't have to be wireless, though. We'll talk about that in a minute, but they do have Bluetooth. That is a really good option. They do have their own wireless controller. They have a removable mesh grill, and they do actually come with a pretty good assortment of cables. So let's talk about that port selection. So this is your speaker out, and what this does is it allows you to connect your other speaker to this primary speaker. It comes with some speaker wire, which is nice to see. You have a power switch off and on. Of course, this is just your power cable. Up here you have two different line in 1 and line in 2. That, of course, will just use regular RCA cables, which they do have in the box. You have an optical input as well as a coaxial, and then a subwoofer out if you do have your own separate sub. I'll be really curious to see how these things sound in terms of bass on their own. Of course, the second speaker has nothing on it but the input for those speaker wire, and it is already picking up Australian Shepherd fuzz as we speak. All right, so we've turned it on and we've clicked on the Bluetooth button on the controller. As you can see, we have a little blue indicator light. So we should be able to pair this to my phone. Out there it is, Edifier. So we're gonna go ahead and pair this to my OnePlus Open, and let's see what these things sound like. And of course, we're just gonna go with Crab Rave here for a second because it's one of the few songs I can play that is not gonna get me in copyright trouble. And we'll just see what this sounds like. I'll give you kind of a live reaction here. We're setting a little over half volume. So, quick first impression, I think that it has kind of a little bit of a muddy overall sound to it. The bass is maybe a little bit overbearing and it's just kind of muddying up the sound. But luckily, we have some control over that here on the side. We have treble and we have bass. So I'm going to try to adjust the treble up just a little bit more to see if it can punch through that bass. I don't know how well that's going to come through, but that definitely did help a little bit. But man, we really need to run the risk here, and let's play an actual song and just maybe cut it short and we'll see what it sounds like.
I've always wanted to ride with you, Logan. Deadpool and a Wolverine. Can you imagine the fun? The chaos.
So I think fairly positive so far. Even just over Bluetooth as I'm using it there, it sounds pretty darn solid. I will say, like I kind of mentioned there, you might need to turn that treble up just a little bit because those mids, those highs, getting a little bit squashed by the bass. But it is good that the bass is so present. You can bring the mids and highs up with that treble just a little bit, and I think you're going to be relatively well balanced. But I mentioned at the beginning of this video that I had sort of a thing in mind for how I would be using it, and now I get to test that out, and I'm really excited. For those that maybe don't remember, I reviewed a Projector a little over a year ago. It is in my living room, which is right over my shoulder. And it's a great Nebula Cosmos projector. It's got its own speaker built into it. So basically, you're watching TV on the projector screen. on the projector screen and there's sound coming out of this thing kind of above you, sort of is how it's sitting, it's okay, but it's not great. And I've been thinking, what am I going to do? Am I going to run an optical cable all the way across my room to the sound bar that's underneath the TV? It's a lot of potential like just annoyance and headache. And I thought, when I looked at this could be my solution. Optical cable from the projector to the wall and down into the speakers. Maybe they can sit just behind the couch. Let's see how well that works. Definitely a weird way to potentially use these, but I have maybe high hopes for this. Okay, so proper cable management yet to even be attempted yet, but you can see there's the other speaker down there, just sort of on either side of where we sit on the couch. Let's see what this sounds like. All right, here we are. We're just gonna go back to that same Deadpool and Wolverine trailer. Man, all right, hold on. I can already tell you that bass is hitting. I'm gonna have to adjust things because my right side is louder than my left side. Maybe mount them somewhere, but that bass is hitting hard.
Look, Deadpool and Wolverine. Can you imagine the fun, the chaos?
All right, I know that some of you will just say, man, just get a cable, run it to your sound bar, get a proper, surround sound system. You're not going to get proper surround sound this way. And you're absolutely right. This is just going to be stereo, just left and right. That's all I'm going to get. But for the level of fuss and setup that this actually required, I am shocked. Let me say that again. I am shocked at how well that actually worked and how good that is sounding. It's not going to be the most hi-fi television experience ever, but it's going to be more than good enough for me. It's actually been about 3 days now since I filmed that last part, and the reason I'm doing this time jump is because I wanted to spend more time with those speakers. And since then, I've made at least one pretty big change. The speakers were sitting on the floor before, and the result was that the bass sounded really good, but the dialogue, as it was basically being fired into the back of the couch, was a little bit muffled. So I've moved the speakers up to just behind the projector. There's like a shelf thing above my window. It doesn't look great at the moment. I do have to do some better cable management, but I moved them up there, and the dialogue is much easier to understand. I did have to turn the bass up just a little bit to sort of get it back where I wanted it to be, but at the end of the day, the final result here is that these things sound really, really good. We've watched a couple of TV shows. We've watched a couple of movies. Actually, just watched Godzilla -1 on Netflix for basically an indie film. Definitely recommend that. And it held up really well in those big action scenes. It was impactful. It was loud. In fact, at one point, my wife was like, you need to turn those down a little bit. Of course, I'm like, I'm testing them. They have to be loud. I want to see what the experience is like. They're holding up really, really quite well, and I think this has solved that problem for me completely. I do really quickly need to talk about this controller, though. These two buttons here, off and on, that icon, you might not exactly know what that's supposed to do. Best I can tell, it's going to sort of create a wider sound stage for the audio. If you're listening to audio from a movie, you're going to probably want to leave that on. And it does seem like it works okay. It's not a huge overwhelming effect, but it does seem to do a little bit. The controller in general, though, I did have some problems with. There have been quite a few instances where I'm pressing buttons and it's just not responding. And I'm doing this thing. I'm like, where do I need to be aiming? I'm not exactly sure. That's been a little bit of a problem for me. The good news is I have it set to the optical cable. It's turned on and it's just there. And I turn on my projector and it works. If you're changing stuff around, it might be a little bit annoying. Just something to keep in mind. I think that these have done a really solid job. Again, there will be an affiliate link in the description down below. So if you click it and you make a purchase, I will earn commission off of that. It's a great way to help support the channel. I do need to say thanks to Edifier again for sending these speakers over for me to review. As always, no money has changed hands for the production of this review, and they are seeing my thoughts at the exact same time as you are. Guys, thanks for watching. Subscribe for more content just like this, and until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.